Senator. Thank you.
Well, God bless the great state of New York. And I got to say, that is a serious bottle of beer. Y'all don't mess around. I am thrilled to be with you. Thank you for coming out. It is such a pleasure. To be with so many freedom-loving patriots. Chris, Michael, thank you both for your passion, for your leadership. Thank you for standing together, and thank you, each of you, for being here. And let me say to the students, I'm glad I was able to get y'all out of class this morning. And I will make one commitment to the students. If Heidi Cruz becomes First Lady, meat is coming back to the lunchroom. Call me crazy, but I think the cardboard belongs under the tray and not on the tray. You know, a lot of y'all in your classes, you may well have learned that if you study the roots of a word, you can learn a lot about where it comes from. If you look at the roots of the word politics, it has two parts. Poly, meaning many, and ticks, meaning blood-sucking parasites. And that is a fairly accurate description of Washington, D.C. And yet we're here this morning for something a lot more important than politics. We're here because our country's in crisis, because we're bankrupting our kids and grandkids, because our constitutional rights are under assault each and every day, and because America has receded from leadership in the world. And yet I am here this morning with a word of hope and encouragement all across New York, all across this country. People are waking up. And help is on the way. This next election is going to focus on three critical issues: jobs, freedom, and security. Let's start with jobs. I want to take a minute and talk to all the single moms who are here, who are working 2 and 3 part-time jobs, who've seen your hours forcibly reduced to 28, 29 hours a week because Obamacare kicks in at 30 hours a week. I want to talk to all the truck drivers, all the plumbers and electricians, all the machinists, all the union members, all the men and women with calluses on your hands, who've seen wages stagnating year after year after year. The cost of living, it keeps going up, and yet somehow your paycheck doesn't seem to keep pace. I want to talk to all the young people coming out of school with student loans up to your eyeballs, scared. Am I going to get a job? What does the future hold for me? And you know, the media tries to tell us this is the new normal. This is as good as it gets. Let me tell you, that is an absolute lie. You know, it's easy to talk about making America great again. You can even print that on a baseball cap. But the real question is, do you understand the principles and values that made America great in the first place? The heart of our economy is not Washington, D.C. The heart of our economy is small businesses all across the United States of America. You want to see the economy take off? You take the boot of the federal government off the back of the necks of small businesses. If I'm elected president, we will repeal every word of Obamacare. It is the biggest job killer in America, and in its place, we will pass common sense health care reform that makes health insurance personal and portable and affordable and keeps government from getting in between us and our doctors. And we will pass a simple flat tax. Where every American can fill out our taxes on a postcard. And when we do that, we should abolish the IRS. We're going to rein in the EPA. And federal regulators who have descended like locusts on small businesses, killing jobs all across this country. And we're going to stop amnesty and secure the borders and end sanctuary cities and end welfare benefits for those here illegally. And let me tell you what's going to happen when we do all of that. We're going to see millions and millions of new high-paying jobs coming back to America. We're going to see jobs coming back from China, coming back from Mexico. We're going to see manufacturing jobs back in America again. We're going to see wages rising in America again. We're going to see young people coming out of school with 2, 3, 4, 5 job offers. We'll see morning in America again. The second critical issue in this election is freedom. You know, just a few weeks ago, the passing of Justice Scalia underscored the stakes of this election. It is not just one, but 2 branches of government that hang in the balance. We are one liberal justice away from a radical 5-justice left-wing majority, the likes of which this country has never seen. We are one justice away from the Supreme Court stripping religious liberty from millions of Americans. We are one justice away from the Supreme Court effectively erasing the Second Amendment from the Bill of Rights. We are one justice away from the Supreme Court making us subject to the World Court and to the United Nations and international law and giving up U.S. sovereignty. All right, you convinced me. You know, 2 debates ago, Hugh Hewitt asked us all a question about religious liberty in the Supreme Court. And Donald Trump turned to me. He said, "Ted, I've known a lot more politicians than you have." Well, in that, he is correct. Donald Trump has been supporting liberal Democratic politicians for 40 years. I have no experience with that. But Donald continued. He said, "Ted, when it comes to religious liberty, when it comes to the Supreme Court," he said, "Ted, you got to learn to compromise. You got to learn to cut deals with the Democrats and go along to get along." Well, let me be very, very clear to the men and women of New York. I will not compromise away your religious liberty. And I will not compromise away your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. That means to the Catholic schools all across this great state, to the Jewish day schools across this great state. That means to McKeel Christian Academy. We will protect your constitutional right to live according to your faith and your conscience without government getting in the way. The third critical issue in this election is security. For 7 years, we've seen a president who abandons our friends and allies, and who shows weakness and appeasement to our enemies. You know, again, 2 debates ago, Donald Trump made very clear, he said, if he were president, he would be neutral between Israel and the Palestinians. Well, let me be very clear. As president, I will not be neutral. America will stand unapologetically with the nation of Israel. And you know, anyone who can't tell the difference between our friends and our enemies, who can't tell the difference between Israel and Islamic terrorists who want to kill us, that raises real questions about their fitness and judgment to be commander-in-chief. For 7 years, we've seen our military undermined. We've seen readiness weakened. We've seen morale of the troops plummeting. And you know what? As a nation, we've seen this before. We've seen another left-wing Democratic president, Jimmy Carter, who weakened and undermined the military. And then, in January 1981, Ronald Reagan came into office. And what did Reagan do? Reagan cut taxes. He pulled back regulations. We saw small businesses explode. Millions of new high-paying jobs that generated trillions in new government revenue. And he used that revenue to rebuild our military, to bankrupt the Soviet Union, and to win the Cold War. I intend to do the exact same thing with radical Islamic terrorism. We're going to repeal Obamacare, pass a flat tax, pull back the regulators, stop amnesty. We're going to see millions and millions of new high-paying jobs coming back to America, wages going up again. That's going to generate trillions in new government revenue, and we will use that revenue to rebuild our military so it remains the mightiest fighting force on the face of the planet. You know, one of the saddest things we've seen in the last 7 years has been this president sending our fighting men and women into combat with rules of engagement so strict that their arms are tied behind their backs, that they cannot fight, they cannot defeat the enemy, they cannot win. That is wrong. It is immoral. And mark my words, in January 2017, it will end. America has always been reluctant to use military force. We are slow to anger. We believe in peace through strength. But if and when military force is necessary, we should use overwhelming force, kill the enemy, and then get the heck out. So let's talk a little politics. This has been an interesting political year. Hadn't been dull. We started a year ago with 17 Republican candidates, an amazingly talented, young, diverse, dynamic field of candidates. What a contrast with the Democrats. You know, the Democratic field consists of a wild-eyed socialist with ideas that are dangerous for America and the world, and Bernie Sanders. But over the course of the year, we've seen the Republican field narrow. The primaries have done what they're supposed to do, which is narrow the field. There are now two candidates, and only two candidates, who have any plausible path to winning a majority, to earning the Republican nomination. That is me and Donald Trump. And what we are seeing happening is the 65 to 70% of Republicans across this country who recognize that Donald Trump is not the best candidate to go head-to-head with Hillary Clinton. That if we nominate Donald Trump, Hillary wins, and she wins by double digits. And if Hillary becomes the president, it is catastrophic. We lose the Supreme Court for a generation. We lose the Bill of Rights. Our kids are buried in trillions more in debt, and we remain trapped in the same economic stagnation we've seen the last 7 years. What we are seeing is those 65 to 70% of Republicans are uniting behind this campaign. Of the 17 Republican candidates who started this campaign, 5 are supporting our campaign. We've been endorsed by Rick Perry, Lindsey Graham, Jeb Bush, Scott Walker, and Carly Fiorina. When you throw in Mike Lee and Mark Levin, we've got the full spectrum of the Republican Party all coming together and standing united. Now, our friends in the media tell us that Donald Trump is unstoppable in New York State. Oddly enough, our friends in the media are very comfortable with a New York liberal who has supported Andrew Cuomo and Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer for decades. And they really want to see a general election between two New York liberals who agree on Washington being the center of the universe. But, you know, an interesting thing has happened in the last couple of weeks. We have seen this race nationally turn. Just over 2 weeks ago, in the state of Utah, we won a landslide victory in Utah, 69% of the vote. We won every single one of the delegates out of Utah. Then, just a few days ago in Colorado, 2 congressional districts voted to select their delegates. They selected 6 delegates. We won all 6. Then this weekend, the state of North Dakota voted. Of the delegates they selected who have stated their support, 18 are supporting us. 1 is supporting Donald Trump. I'll take an 18-to-1 ratio any day of the week. And then 2 days ago, in the state of Wisconsin, y'all may recall the media in Wisconsin said the same thing they're saying about New York. They said we couldn't win Wisconsin. They said Wisconsin was an ideal state for Donald Trump. It's an upper Midwest state. It's an industrial state. It is a state, a blue-collar, working-class state. They said it's a perfect state for Donald Trump. And 3 weeks ago, we were down 10 points in Wisconsin. Tuesday night, we not only won, we won with a landslide, nearly 50% of the vote in the state of Wisconsin. And we won across demographic groups. We won women. We won men. We won young people. We won working men and women. We tied with Donald Trump among independents. We won across the board. And let me tell you something that gives us some optimism going forward. 2 weeks ago, Fox News came out with a poll. Showed me leading Hillary Clinton nationally 47-44. Donald Trump was losing to Hillary by double digits. We're beating Hillary Clinton. But here's the most interesting part. That poll shows among young people. Some of y'all who are seniors this year are going to get to vote. Among young people, that poll showed us leading young people by 14 points. Last 2 elections, Barack Obama won young people 70-30. Let me tell you right now, if the Democrats are losing young people by double digits, Hillary Clinton ain't going to win this election. The key to this election, the key to the New York primary, are the men and women here, are the grassroots. I want to ask every one of you, if you don't want to see Donald Trump as the nominee, if you don't want to see Hillary Clinton as the next president, I ask you to stand with us, to come out and vote for me 10 times. Now look, we're not Democrats. I'm not suggesting voter fraud. But if everyone here goes and picks up the phone and you call 9 other people and you get them to come out and vote, you will have voted 10 times. You know, for those of y'all who are not yet old enough to vote, if you get 10 other people to come out and vote, you will have voted 10 times before you turn 18. That's how we win. If we stand together and unite, if Republicans continue standing together and uniting, we will win this nomination. We will win the general election. We will beat Hillary Clinton, and we will turn this country around. It took Jimmy Carter to give us Ronald Reagan. And I am convinced the most long-lasting legacy of Barack Obama is going to be a new generation of leaders in the Republican Party who stand and fight for liberty, who stand and fight for the Constitution, and who stand and fight for the Judeo-Christian values that built this great nation. Thank you, and God bless you.